What you want to make the repo?
You better ask somebody.
Welcome back. We are on number 4, Team 4 of our Power Rankings 2020. And I think Rick and I kind of flip-flop our picks here. I am Harvey, Iron Fist at 4. This is for the G's and this is for the Hustlers. Harvey is sitting with Wentz, Stafford, Daniel Jones. He drafted Love for some reason. He has Henry and Chubb. So his running back situation is thin, and I don't understand why he wouldn't even acknowledge a trade for a receiver on draft day, or even now.
Why wouldn't he just quick swapped? He could have just quick selected Akers instead of Judy at 7, right? Because wasn't he on the clock?
Right. No, I think Judy is a better player than Akers at the position, and so I don't hate it. But at the same time,
when you're talking ADP and needs, they're similar.
Need matters. I mean, people don't want to say it, but need matters.
Well, especially when need and ADP are so similar. You know what I mean? Like Akers and Judy are probably in that 6, 7, 8 range. So
Now,
some people will go up Judy up to like 5.
Harvey's receiver situation, you don't like the guessing game of it all, but it's so young and good. Like, maybe this isn't his year, and if it was, he wouldn't be at 4, he'd be at 1. But he put himself in position to have a factory, like you talked about, like just farming out wide receivers. Deebo Samuels, Chark, Hollywood Brown, Jeremy Lamb, Jerry Jeudy. You got CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Hamler, and you got Kenny Stills. You got some old guys in here with like Alshon, but they'll be gone. I would rely on Djax for games. Like if you're talking about matchups, I'm starting Deshaun Jackson. I'm starting Marvin Jones. And so he never, ever, ever has a problem at the wide receiver position. He only has a problem at the running back position if he takes an injury.
And who knows what David Johnson's value will be this year. Maybe.
But he doesn't need to start him. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but I'm saying in an injury position, right? So, like, Lamar Miller was feasible when in the Texans offense, right?
Yeah. And so was Duke Johnson to an extent.
Right. So, like, David Johnson, and like, they're going to use him because everybody's mocking that trade that he made. So they're going to use him. So, so I guess he has some value there. But that's it, right? That's the 3 guys he has.
Those are his 3. Well, he has Gus Edwards. So, I mean, in a pinch.
I guess.
In a pinch, if he's the worst player in your starting lineup and the rest of your players are really good, it's not as bad as it looks, which is probably why he falls at 4.
Well, he could package some of those receivers and get some running.
Harvey, package some receivers and get a running back. Don't even package them. Just trade me straight up. I have tons of running backs. But when I look at your lineup here, Wentz, I don't know where to place Wentz in the quarterback positioning. I think Wentz could be a top 7 guy. He didn't have, like to Rick's point, he didn't have receivers, and he still threw for 4,000 yards.
Right.
Now you brought in speed and speed galore with Rager and even Goodwin to an extent, Goodwin to an extent. Like, who was the other guy? They drafted Duquez. I mean, there's lots of options.
Got Jackson there too.
Still got Jackson.
And Jeffrey's going to play a role. Like, I mean, the receivers
aren't
he's
coming off of Liz Frank, and he's old. I don't know.
Bad, but, I mean, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, now that they've made the move. So, and a guy like Rager, or it's only going to help when you do, like, a wide receiver screen and you get all those points or whatever. So.
Yeah. So Harvey's team is, like, it's so teetering on the 5-year plan could come to fruition. I'm going to touch on the draft quick and that so that Rick can move on to his guy here at 5. Jeremy Lamb at 1.5. That was a give me. So Lamb's comp, everyone can laugh at this, just his comparable stats and everything is Jerry Rice. Have you seen this?
I saw it.
Have you seen it as a player profile?
I laughed. It was Jerry Rice.
So, I mean, but when you watch the guy, Lamb has it. He has it. And he's a Cowboy, number 88. It only makes sense. Great pick at 1.5. Judy at 1.7. Judy was the other arguable number 1 wide receiver. Harvey got them both, locked them down. T. Higgins at 2.7. Nothing but value there.
Right.
And at this point, Rick's right. Hamler, why are you still drafting wide receivers that, especially guys that are going to crowded wide receiving crews that won't perform?
There's just no role there.
There's no role,
right? So like, and then you already drafted Judy. So like, I don't quite understand the pick there. You had other receivers that were probably better. you could have went in a different direction and maybe took like a McFarland for the Steelers. Like just took a shot on
another running back that maybe give you because you already secured enough
Evans.
Receivers.
Yeah, Evans or McFarland. Just take a shot on those guys. But yeah, I agree. Not quite sure. And then same thing with the Love pick. Like he's already loaded and it's not like his quarterbacks are old. He's got Jones and Wentz. Like those are franchise.
I don't hate the Love pick at 212 at that point. If you can move the guy, say Rodgers leaves next year or even this year in a trade, and you're sitting with Love and someone needs a quarterback and you get a low end deal and you can get a second rounder for him, move him. You know, I don't hate it, but that Hamler pick is the one that screwed up. That's nothing. That's peanuts. I gave Harvey an A+ for this draft. He got the 2 best receivers in the draft, including C.D. Lamb, who in my eyes was the top 2 player.
You could make an argument that he's a 1-1.
I agree. So Harvey gets an A+ for me. Top of the line. Rick didn't give out any A's. I'm going above and beyond for Harvey's draft. What do you have at 4?
So as Adam said, we flip-flopped. I have Rocky at 4. I think Rocky fixed his quarterback situation, which was holding him back, for relatively cheap. He got Murray, who, I think Murray is a consensus top 6 quarterback now, even in redraft leagues. I don't know if that's overly, like the expectation is overboard on him now, or if we're getting too high on him right now. But you add Hopkins to the mix. You have Kingsbury, who's going to throw to him. You got Fitzgerald there still. You got Kirk. You got Drake, who opens up some running lanes.
Deep threat in Isabella.
Right. So you have so much there. So I like Murray. I think his other quarterbacks are just like Garoppolo. I guess it's a good bye week fill in. Forget who you said. Maybe Cam Newton. It is what it is. We'll see. Gonna go to the Patriots and kind of still, I don't know how he'll fit within that locker room.
It's hard to understand what to expect out of him.
Right. Maybe Stidham beats him out. Who knows?
Hammering it.
I think his season totally relies on how his running backs perform. So we touched on the receivers. OBJ, although struggled last year, I still think he was like a top 25 receiver.
And that's the thing with OBJ. Even when he puts up shit years, he's a top 25 guy.
He was a top 25 guy. You have Juju, who, again, down year with nobody at quarterback. McLaurin, again, second-year guy, maybe takes another step. But, again, you got so many question marks with Haskins. I think the receivers are good enough to get him by. I think his season totally relies on how Jacobs and Drake do. Behind them,
Breida and Harris.
So Breida might be an okay fill-in guy. Harris is a total long shot, just cut lottery ticket type guy. Duke Johnson maybe if David Johnson falters. Does he still have Duke?
Yeah.
I guess Hyde if you get an injury in the where's he at? Seattle now? Did he go to Seattle?
He went to Seattle. Yeah.
So I guess if Carson gets injured, which is not out of the realms of possibility, he has some depth there. But I totally think his season falls on the hands of how Drake and Jacobs do. And I wasn't a big fan of Jacobs coming out. I'm still not over. Will I draft Jacobs in a redraft league? He won't be on my list of guys to want to draft.
No, because his cost is too much.
Right. Yeah. So for what you're getting for, tight end. He's got Kittle. Does he have anybody behind Kittle?
Jace Sternberger, which I like.
Oh, he loves Sternberger.
He loves him too, but I like Jace.
So he's a decent backup. I think Dawson Knox is probably better than Jace Sternberger, but other than that, I don't necessarily know. So we pretty much talked about these two guys. The last
Zuzu?
Pick, the Trooper.
So I think Carlos Hyde is to Seattle what the Zuzu Trooper is to the Jeep, which. Most of you guys don't know, but Rocky used to drive around and call this thing a Jeep. He would take the top off and the sides off.
Was it really a Trooper?
It was either a Zuzu Trooper or a Geo Tracker. You pick. It doesn't matter at this point. It's like you're driving a trash can with the top cut off. And that is Carlos Hyde to the Seahawks. So he's for sale, by the way, if you want Carlos Hyde. And so is that Trooper.
So I think Rocky has a chance. Again, once you get into playoffs, anything can happen. So we saw it last year with Ministry of Darkness team on paper wasn't a top 2 team, but he got in and he won some games. So you just and it comes down to where you finish in this regular season and who you match up with in the playoffs. So
what about Rocky's draft?
So Rocky's draft, I wasn't super excited about. I mean, I like Michael Pittman, and so getting him at 111 is not bad. I'm not 100% sure what he had to do to get up there to 111 to trade up there. To me, the wide receivers from 1.9 to 2.4 were all like relatively the same value.
I mean, there's 110 just because Rager was 1.9, but yes.
Right. So like, okay, so like 110 to 2.4, like the Pittmans, Ayuks.
Yep.
Mims.
Jefferson. See, I think Jefferson was above that.
I would
category.
put Jefferson in that list. The Chenaults. Trying to think, there's somebody else in that list.
Mims.
Higgins. Like I just thought that they were all the same value. So like to trade up for one of those guys, Rocky again. I think I mentioned it last video or maybe in this one. He has guys that he wants and he's not afraid. He doesn't care about ranking. So he got the guy that he wanted. But Pittman, to me, you still have Paris Campbell there. You still have Hilton there. Like I don't think he's a slotting guy that's going to come in and have as much opportunity as people think.
What do you think about Moss?
I wish I was there so I could talk about Moss. I think Moss is picked at 2.6 because there's no other running backs after Moss. I mean, Dillon was already gone. You have McFarland and Evans after. I mean, I just think the running back depth in this draft made people pick Moss before even Dillon. I mean, we already talked about that.
Yeah.
So even Keyshawn Vaughn, like he was not.
He's not a first round pick,
right? So like I think a lot of those guys were just picked because and to me in this day of an age of the NFL, Moss is a plotter, and in the age of like a guy a plotting Jerome Bettis type running back is just kind of gone. He doesn't catch passes. You already got a young guy in Singletary there, and it's not like Singletary's like Kerryon Johnson where he's out of contract next year. He's going to be there 4 years or whatever the rookie contracts are.
Yeah.
So when does he ever become like the number one guy in Buffalo? Probably doesn't. So I'm not a Moss guy. I like Gandy Golden, but I don't like him at 3-1. I think that's a little too early for Gandy Golden. Again, Rocky doesn't care about those rankings, so I can't blame him for taking those guys. But like, I'd rather have Chenault than Gandy Golden.
And you know, he will ride till he dies on I get my guy, and his stronghold is Juju in the second round.
Right.
And I mean, he'll forever have an argument with that.
Right.
But at the same time, you better not miss on one of these guys. You're going to hear about it.
Right.
Moss.
So yeah, so Zach Moss, I just think it's a pretty average draft. I mean, like, there's nobody on that list, Pittman, Moss, Gandy Golden, or
DJ Dallas,
that makes you go, oh, that's going to put him over the top or take him to the next level. So I gave him a C. I thought his draft grade was just a bland bunch of guys, and I gave him a C.
Bunch of Jags. Good job, Rock.
But he's my fourth rated guy, so Adam's going to cry about it.
All right, Rocky and Harvey at 4.